Yeah, we're live. All right. Turn on the release party. Woo!
Woo!
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Um, we're still kind of assembling. Thanks everybody already for joining in. We're obviously starting right now, but we had a really hectic bit of a release cycle. We'll get into it, why in a bit. But anyway, Frank is still on its way. So bear with us for a
That's true.
second while we just fill this void. No, I think we can get started when Frank comes. We can continue. I think it'd be good to just kind of do a quick introduction round so that everybody knows who everybody is in case this is the first time you're watching, or maybe you've watched before and you forgot again. My name is Paulus Schoutse. I am the founder of Home Assistant.
I'm Mike Hansen. I am the voice engineering lead at Nabukasa.
My name is Stefan Eichner. I work on the operating system mostly and also quite a bit on Yellow.
And I'm Bram, and I mostly work on the front end of Home Assistant.
Awesome. So yeah, Frank is gonna join. Don't worry. I think maybe because we're obviously here all together for the Home Assistant release party because today Home Assistant 2023.5 came out, which means that we're almost halfway through of all the releases of this year. But we also did a lot of other releases this month. Like in case you've not been following, we actually released a new version of Home Assistant operating system, version 10. That's why Stefan is also joining us today to talk more about that. And last week, we did Home Assistant Year of the Voice Chapter 2 live stream. 1 hour and 10 minutes, me and Mike just demoing all the cool stuff that is in this release. Today, we are going to talk a bit about voice, but not as deep as we did last week. So if you want all the details and all the roadmap and where we're headed and why and everything, that's definitely gonna look at the other live stream that we did last week. But we're still gonna, of course, include some demos today because it's really cool and fun. So what do you think? Should we just start with operating system, Stefan?
Sure, why not? Makes sense. It also got released already, I think 2 weeks ago at this point. So we did the release in the middle of the release cycle, which kind of spreads out things a bit. So I think that makes sense. Overall, OS 10. So there was a lot of things under the hood which we updated. Just get the latest packages of everything which kind of makes up Home Assistant OS. So the latest container engine, Docker, and the latest Linux kernel. I mean, it's all based on Linux, right? And so this is a big part. And besides that, we also added the new board support. The hard kernel Odroid M1 is now supported officially.
Do you have one, Stefan?
I have one actually, but I need to plug it out.
Okay, I have one here otherwise.
No, I haven't. I already put it into my testing.
Okay.
There.
I'm gonna put you in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
right.
that's this board.
What are we seeing, Stefan?
So this is the Odroid M1. It's basically a single board computer, ARM-based, which and now runs Home Assistant very well. So the nice thing about it is it has eMMC over here, but it also has the option to populate an NVMe SSD directly on this board. I don't have an NVMe populated right now here, but yeah, you can just plug it in there, and then you can use it as a data disk. So you can basically put all data on there, like media, but also all the add-ons and the database and everything goes in there.
Also, I'm putting on my screen. I have an SSD in it.
Cool. Yeah.
I think so. When you see this board, you might think, "Wow, that looks very familiar to the Home Assistant Blue," and that's correct because this is, in a way, the Home Assistant Blue was a case around the Odroid N2 Plus. This is the Odroid M1, so it is a different series, but it's from the same vendor, hard kernel, and it is a different chipset. That's why it took a while also to get support. Like, the N2 Plus was already supported, but we couldn't use the same image. And yeah, it's a great board. I think, the most unique selling point about this board, I think, is that it's actually for sale, right? We see a lot of the chip shortage, and people are unable to get boards like to run Home Assistant, and like it's frustrating, right? Like I was like traveling, I was talking to people about Home Assistant. They're like, okay, how do I get started? I was like, yeah, about that. Maybe wait a few months, or do you have a home server? Maybe you can run a VM on. And so, yeah, this one it is for sale. It is a bit. It's not as easy, I think, as a Raspberry Pi is in that there's no SD card, right? So, how would you?
And you can boot it also from SD card.
Oh, okay.
So that's also possible. I mean, yeah, to get started quickly, just plug in the SD card here. And the SD card actually works without firmware upgrade or anything. The problem is when you want to use the eMMC, you need to upgrade its firmware. I think it's mentioned in the blog post of the OS 10 release, but more documentation will follow. So yeah, they reused basically the same heatsink as the Blue, and this really makes it very well suited, like for environment. Yeah, like if you push it a bit more, I mean, it's very well cooled again.
Right.
So that's really nice. It's a bit deeper or like longer, I guess. I'm not sure than the Blue. Mainly because of the
SSD, right?
SSD, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it's really a nice option to run the OS on it.
I guess it has a case, like you have to buy it separately. It is, I think they call it olive green. It's not very green in my experience, but it's just more grayish.
Looks great to me.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, so it's a nice board. And yeah, of course, it does not have radios, right? So you would need something like a Home Assistant Sky Connect to add Zigbee or Thread. Just one quick question I see here, Stefan. I'm going to, by the way, make you a bit smaller.
Is the performance much better than the N2 Plus? Not really. Actually, the N2, I think it's a 6-core, and this one is a quad-core. I think also CPU-wise, it's, I would say, maybe even a little bit slower than the N2. The N2 has really high performance on the CPU perspective. The nice thing is about the N1, because you have NVMe SSD support, you have higher I/O bandwidth basically, so you get more written and read to the disk. It's not really that important for OS, but I mean CPU-wise, both are like well suited for Home Assistant. Another nice thing about the M1 is you get it also with 8 gigs of RAM. I don't think you get the N2 with 8 gigs. I think you get it up to 4 gigs.
No, that's the thing with the ARM boards. Like the memory is like integrated. It's not like with an Intel CPU where you can add more pieces of memory later, right? You have to basically from the get-go decide this is how I want to use this computer. I mean, that's why with the Home Assistant Yellow, we went for the Raspberry Pi compute module, because you can actually swap out a compute module if you have more requirements. So here's another question, Stefan. Can you install the operating system on the SSD?
Currently, you cannot boot from the NVMe directly. So the bootloader which comes with the board doesn't support direct NVMe boot the way we boot. So we use the bootloader you boot in between to switch between like a failover or operating system and the real operating system, and that one is not supported with the bootloader it ships with. I talked to hard kernel folks to maybe make it work, but it doesn't look like currently that it's going to work.
This is, by the way, this is very interesting. Like when we add support for boards, we really focus that we vet the boards. We don't just add support for every board around. Like with hard kernel, we have an ongoing relationship. We talk to the engineering. They fix bugs for us. They help us make sure that it works. They give us samples. And they also have a guarantee. I think this one has a chip that is available till 2035 or something, Stefan? Was it like?
I'm actually not sure. Yeah, it's a ROC chip, but yeah, I think it's quite some time. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the end, we don't want to. If we provide a board, right, like support from Home Assistant OS, we are going to keep creating images for it every release. We're going to make sure it keeps working for as long as it takes, right? And so as long as it means that, like, if the board is no longer sold, we are still adding support for it for like a smaller and smaller group of users, and it takes time and resources away from us. So we don't just jump on every new board. That's why we don't like add support for Banana Pi or something like this, because, well, I don't know how long those companies are going to be around, right? I mean, Raspberry Pi is, of course, very stable foundation, and we love working with them as well, and hard kernel as well. But that's why we're not jumping on every new board that you see.
Seems like
there
there's
are so
also
many out there.
yeah more coming out every single month. It seems now
Right. Yeah, there's a lot to choose from.
they're gonna run out of fruits.
Yeah. So should we move on to the next?
I mean,
thing in
before we
US?
move on, maybe, if the crowd cheers very loud, maybe we can summon Frank.
Just don't say his name 3 times.
There's some delay between us talking and like the comments, like, coming in.
I
He
think I
thought he
see a
could
comment
skirt
from Frank, so it's
it. Maybe they'll forget I exist.
Hi, Frank.
Hi. Can you hear me, by the way? I'm on AirPods this time. I'm sorry, technical other difficulties. So, by the way, hi.
Hey, Frank.
So, we
It's,
what you missed, Frank, is that we talked about Home Assistant Operating System 10, the first part, the Odroid M1, but actually there's some other stuff in the Home Assistant Operating System 10 I want to just highlight. It is the things that I'm super excited about is the improved data disk feature. So there's a new layer for managing data disks, which improves reliability a lot. There's been some work together between operating system supervisors. So we're gonna migration should be easier, but if you accidentally plug in 2 disks that are formatted as data disk, Home Assistant will not pick a random anymore. It will actually give you a warning like, hey, this needs to be fixed. That's all very cool. The new memory management feature, Stefan, what will be the day-to-day impact for users, do you think?
I think one of the biggest impact is if you run into low memory situations. So before, what happened is that the operating system kind of stalled. It really got like slowish or sluggish for maybe like 5-10 minutes or 20 minutes until it kind of figured out what's happening and started to kill, like stop your add-ons or something. That now happens much more quickly. So this new memory management feature, which actually got developed by folks at Google, they use it on their servers. And we also talked to actually the developer because we saw some issues here, but it seems to work well now in my test environment. It's deployed in OS 10, and so far we didn't hear issues back. But basically it's really improved now that when you get into like memory pressure, so like if you have not enough memory because you start too many add-ons, or you start like an add-on starts to eat up all your memory, it resolves much more quickly. And that's nice, because that means Home Assistant Core will continue to run and will continue to automate your home. So like if like not that important add-on eats all your memory, your system kind of keeps running and you don't have a interruption.
Yes, and that's good because we have a bunch of new add-ons in this release cycle, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. I think, by the way, there's so many stuff in this release or this last month that normally we have some chit chat at the end of the release notes to fill the 2 hours. I think we'll probably have to cap it off at the end. Like it's insane. So
we already did a live stream. We don't have to do all this stuff.
No, we're not
can
going
just
we
skip
don't have
that.
to redo that.
Then we're done quite quickly, I think.
But I want to. So for operating system, last thing I'm also super excited about is there's a bunch of bug fixes for Bluetooth and for Thread, and especially Thread. Now we had some stability issues in the past, which was caused by a mix of things of like the way OpenThread was compatible or not really compatible with Network Manager. Network Manager did a lot of bug fixes. I think they rewrote their IP stack. Am I saying that right, Stefan?
Yeah, I think the part of like the IPv6 neighborhood discovery, just this part, which is relevant for Thread, they kind of redid quite a bit in like the latest releases, and now it's much better. Yeah. We also tweaked config a little bit on the operating system in general for these kind of things. So yeah, I'm quite happy. This seems to work quite well. About the Bluetooth, there it's a bit a mixed bag. We got fixes in with the new Blue C and the new Linux kernel, but also people report quite a bit of Bluetooth issues, and I actually was able to reproduce after a while. It's not that bad. You can just reboot and it kind of works again, but it seems to stop on certain platforms. We are still trying to track that. What's the problem
Yeah,
there?
I think we did get a fix in from Bidraco to add some extended reset for the Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's basically just today I was finally able to reproduce it, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
I talked with Bidraco. He put in a reset. I think it works, but I cannot be certain. So this is basically a workaround in core, but I'm actually quite sure that the issue is in lower layers, and we probably get it fixed at one point. But yeah, we seem to push Bluetooth quite a bit these days. So
Yes. Yeah, I gotta get all the packets. So yeah, if you had thread issues, which to be fair, not many people are using thread because I guess there's like 1 or 2 thread Meta devices available. Anyway, those should really work well right now. So yeah, try it out if you're, if you have one of those 2 devices. And then, yeah. So that's OS 10. Oh, and if you are a Home Assistant operating user, which 75% of the Home Assistant users are, you can just go to your config panel and hit update, and it will automatically update. If the update would fail for some reason, and it shouldn't, it will actually automatically roll back. Like we always keep the old version of the operating system around, so it's very foolproof. So we make sure that like you will never end up with a brick system. So yeah, definitely hit that update button, get the latest bug fixes. Whoop whoop.
Yeah, I think we already have like almost 50% of the users which upgraded. So
that is awesome.
Quite nice adoption. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So before we go on to the release, there's been some people already asking, where are the images? Why are they not there? They're building. So, and this is, by the way, the last time that the builds will be fast. We're switching to a more correct way of building our images. I don't know, correct is the bad word, but there's a different way images are being built with the newer version of Python and the package manager, and it's going to take a few hours longer next release. So this is enjoy while it lasts only an hour. We're going to be, or planning to somehow magically make it faster, but we're not there yet. Okay.
Should be another 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so.
All right. So, should we, open up the release notes?
Yeah. Want to go by release notes?
I think so. Or should we dive into we could talk about voice? Should we talk about voice?
I would just show like something.
Okay.
Like, sure, we can talk about it, right? We can unfold it maybe, but like, do we have like a question? We do have a demo.
Yeah. No, we do have some demo. Mike, do you want to do a demo?
Oh, I don't have anything great prepared just yet. I do have one thing I could do, but I don't.
I have a demo. Should I do a demo?
Yeah.
No, so
do a demo.
we have. Well, it's so. Let me just open the UI because I was like, I'm just going to show like the final thing first, but we can. I'm going to do it quick.
I mean, it'd be good to talk at a little bit of a high level as to what's. I mean, I could explain a little bit, or wait.
I'm going to show this. So this is boom. This is Home Assistant. Yes. Yeah. All right, so you can talk to Home Assistant. This is in Dutch. You can actually now have, God, I'm like completely I'm just jumping in, but you can configure voice assistant in Home Assistant now. We have actually standardized what is a voice assistant in Home Assistant, and each voice assistant exists from a speech to text, a conversation engine and a text-to-speech engine. Speech-to-text will turn your speech into text. The conversation engine will process your text, and text-to-speech will then turn the response after it's processed back into audio for you. You can also make voice assistants that are just wrapping conversation engines in case you're like chatting with it. This is something that we've actually seen in the last releases before as well. I'm just gonna make my screen a little taller so you can see this frame. And so I can say like turn off the frame. Boom. Now, instead of, if I'm just going to say like, okay, I actually want to talk, because we have talking also included. Let me just, so let me just see. Turn on the frame.
Turned on light.
So what you just saw was actually Home Assistant recording audio from the microphone, sending it to my speech-to-text engine that I have configured, processing it, and playing the response to you. Did you hear the response?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, you can have different pipelines, as we call it, voice assistants. This is a Dutch one. Nederlands is the Dutch word for Dutch. Mario NL, this is if I have ChatGPT also installed, so I can like talk to Mario. I'm not sure why I have it in Dutch right now, because that's not good for a demo, but
I have one in English for Mario. If you want.
Oh, that's good.
so Bram, while you prepare that, so I just quickly just click on the manage assist. No, I'm just gonna close. So this is all the new assist dialog. If you click on settings, this is the magic. There's a new voice assistant menu item, and there's like behind this menu item are a lot of different new features that we've kind of reorganized here, and there's new features. So obviously there's our voice assistants. We call this Assist. It's the first one, of course, because it's the most important voice assistant in your life, or will be.
It should be.
Should be, yeah. As you can see, and I'm just going to open the English one because this is the one I was just talking to. This is an older front end, as you can see. I'm not fully running the latest version. I'm going to do this on the fly.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Yeah.
That's really old.
This is really old, yeah.
That's
So
like first beta.
I'm rebuilding the front end right now. We're going to see.
Just rebuilding it right now. Just casually.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Oh, wow.
DevTools.
Yeah, I have to go through. Yeah,
Yeah, that's better.
All right. So this is what are we seeing now? You can actually, for every part of your voice assistant, you have full control what you want to do. And of course, this is Home Assistant. This is about choice. So if you have integrations providing like conversation, speech to text, text to speech, you will be able to pick them here. Now, the first thing that always starts with your voice assistant, give it a name. This is how you refer to it in like the drop downs. You can pick a language. This is important because the language of your voice assistant impacts which integrations can provide input for your voice assistant. So, for example, I've picked English. And then for Home Assistant, this is the conversation agent. Then we can see like the Home Assistant built-in conversation agent is the one that we announced like in January. It matches like it is voice natural language processing inside Home Assistant. It is not smart, but it's very fast. So we're making sure that it works with a lot of sentences. And if we don't support a sentence you think we should support, definitely let us know. If you, for example, set up ChatGPT, you can set this config entry up multiple times. Each config entry, you can set up your own prompt. Like, I don't know if people are familiar with ChatGPT, but the first message you always give to the system is saying, for example, hey, you're Mario from Super Mario Bros. And then when the user starts interacting with this prompt, it like brings a whole character to life, for example. Now, Home Assistant only supports English. I'm just going to... no, I'm not going to show you the other... I'll show you the variants here. By speech to text, text to speech, this is actually where it really shines, because in this case, speech to text, I am using Home Assistant Cloud. That's why Home Assistant Cloud, of course, is the subscription by Nabukasa. It gives you your Home Assistant instance superpowers. It allows you end-to-end encrypted remote connection. It allows you access to text-to-speech and speech-to-text APIs to power your voice assistants. It allows also integration with Amazon and Google. And of course, most important, it supports the development of the Home Assistant project, the ESP Home project, Z-Wave.js, Zigbee, Matter, ESP Web Tools, a lot. So
it's also fast, the cloud, and it actually really sounds good, right?
No, these voices are really good. So I'm just going to show you a few of the features that are available. So with Home Assistant Cloud, what English are you speaking? Like, accents are important. And if you ahead of time know what kind of accent you're going to speak, I always think I speak American English. It's probably not true, but I set it on American English. I get okay results. If you are in Canada, you probably want to set it to Canadian English. But as you can see, Home Assistant Cloud supports a lot of different variants of all these different languages. So in case of English, there's a lot of them. If you're in the Philippines or Nigeria or Kenya, you can actually pick that so you get better results. The output similarly, right? So what kind of accent do you want your voice assistant to speak? So I'd set it to American English, but maybe I want to just set it to Irish, and I want to have, you can pick different voices. So I want to see Connor. Maybe I want to try it out. So I'm going to see how this sounds.
Hello. How can I assist?
That's a little boring. I'm going for, I don't know, Tanzania.
Hello. How can I assist?
Okay, let's do it. I can hit update. And now my voice assistant is going to speak, respond in that voice. And as you can see, there were a lot of voices. There's a lot of options. Now, should we show debugging as well? I'm going to quickly show debugging. I'm not going to go too much.
Sure.
If you are working with the system, sometimes like you're using a device and it doesn't work as expected, you can actually go into the debug panel and see exactly how long every step took. Speech to text, natural language processing, and text to speech. Just a few remarks here. 2.56 seconds for speech to text includes the time that I was speaking. Right, so I need to finish speaking, and then it starts converting. We're going to break this up, but that's so it is actually really fast. As you can see, our processing 0.07 seconds. That's great. 0 seconds for text to speech happens because we very, very, very aggressively cache your text to speech output. So basically, if we generate a text to speech output once, it's done. Like that, we will never generate it again. So you will be able to, as you use more and more text to speech, like for whatever stuff, either in your voice assistant or notifications, it will just be instant. So that makes our voice assistant super fast. All right. Bram, you want to do the demo?
Sure. I have not tested this. That's the disclaimer. So
That's the best.
I mean, I can change my Mario pipeline to be in English. Otherwise,
you can do it too. That's basically what I did.
Someone in the chat said something about show an exotic language like Polish. Polish is in there.
Yep. So let's see. Boom, boom, boom.
I assume they were being facetious.
There's a lot of.
I mean,
You have to.
first of all,
be able to
exotic,
learn.
I don't know if the word exotic is good for any language, but yeah, Polish is in there. So with Home Assistant, we have Polish support. Thank you for the Polish community for contributing this. Input, there's only one variant of Polish for both speech to text, text to speech. This one, it shows like all examples now have been one language. Actually, if you pick French, there are 2 for Home Assistant because it has Canadian French has different number pronunciation, or not pronunciation, just like the words are different for numbers. So there's a lot of these things that are supported. And of course, your voice assistant needs to have support. The language needs to be supported for all 3: conversation agent, speech to text, text to speech. And we are working very hard. So for example, if I pick Nepali, you can see that actually speech to text and text to speech are there and they are supported, but the Home Assistant conversation engine does not support it. OpenAI is always allowed to be picked because they claim to support like every language because they're trained on the internet, but the results are not as good. But for example, if you would pick Vietnamese, we do have that one in Home Assistant, right? So there are some languages we do support, some language we don't, but that's all yet, right? But we've been building, what we're showing today is the foundational building blocks with some of the things filled in so it start usable, but then we're going to work with the community to expand all the different language options. Now I'm just going to change my Mario back to English. So
Switch conversation agent to.
oh, did I?
It just defaulted
Oh,
back.
yeah. So I'm just going to type with it and not talk to it. So now when you have OpenAI configured, you can, you're Mario from Super Mario Brothers. Be funny, keep your answers short. We're on a live stream.
I'm wondering what it will do if you talk about it. Where are you or something?
How are you doing? Ooh. Cool. So, as you see now, we're talking to Mario. I'll do one voice. I mean, the voice I've configured for this voice assistant is not very Mario-like.
Mario-ish.
What have you done today?
Today, I've been busy rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser's clutches and eating lots of mushrooms to power up.
So,
Checks out.
Email Mario.
yeah, classic Mario. There's this funny story. One of the Dutch language leader, the Fes, he wanted to have a Dutch Mario, and he came up with his own prompt, and he told his ChatGPT the prompt, "You are a Dutch version of Mario." But what happened is that when ChatGPT was responding as Mario, instead of like speaking Dutch, it would say, "Oh, I love like stroopwafels, and I love wooden shoes. I'm wearing wooden shoes." And like,
That's epic.
So you were a Dutch caricature of Mario.
yeah. Here's a good question from Brandon. Is the OpenAI conversation agent able to see the context? Yes. Every assist dialogue keeps the context, and so the conversation keeps going. So, I don't know. Let me see if this works. It should say Goombas because it said Goombas there. Yeah. You see, there's this ongoing conversation. So we pass this whole conversation back into ChatGPT, and so it can keep continuing.
They're all okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah. Okay. That is, in a very short summary, the voice stuff. There is one part we haven't shown, but I'm going to leave that to Mike.
Yes.
Multiple parts, actually. We're not there
No,
yet.
yeah, actually.
Was that
There are many more parts. Like,
Okay,
this is
you know
cool,
what?
by the way. This is just the pipeline,
Before-
right? So,
Yeah. I don't. Oh, Bram, do you want to show this part? Because this is the part that you've worked on a lot.
what
The
part?
expose.
Oh, yeah. That we can dive into. But
Let's.
there's some, like, this was the pipeline stuff, right? So this is
Yeah.
the input-output, which you can define yourself, which is now the OpenAI agent, which we already had, by the way, but it's kind of nice because you now can create multiple, which I think is really nice. So you can now create multiple Marios, I guess.
Yeah.
And this was Home Assistant Cloud, but there's more to this, I guess.
Yes.
What part do we want to show next? Like, this is pretty darn cool.
I think Mike has his screen ready, so I'm just going to switch to Mike, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll show.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the best voice experience if you go with Home Assistant Cloud. It's going to be fast, and you have a ton of options. But Home Assistant's about choice, right? So we have choices, and we have some local options here available. Let me switch over to my other tab. So this is my Home Assistant server, which is actually running on. Some people had asked me specifically about the model number. I think I chose one of the lower model numbers that was cheaper. This is a little ThinkCenter PC with an i5, and I double checked because i5 covers a broad range of processors apparently. This is one that was released in 2013. So So it's pretty old. Anyway, so we have two new add-ons. So Paulus mentioned the pipeline. The conversation agent's built into Home Assistant already. So the speech-to-text, text-to-speech are the other two pieces, and we have local add-ons for each. The first is speech-to-text, and we have an add-on for Whisper, which comes from OpenAI as well. So this is something you can install the add-on. You can hop in and change different model types, so you can get higher accuracy at a trade-off of more CPU, all that fun stuff. And there's a couple other
If
options.
you're on the Raspberry Pi 4 and you're trying this, only use the tiny int8 model.
Yes.
Like everything else will not perform well.
And make sure you pick a language. So you can come in here. You want to pick a language so that it aligns with the rest of your pipeline. It can't auto detect like some of the others. That's easy.
Yeah.
All right. So once that's installed, then over on the Home Assistant side, I already have it set up, but I'll just make people aware that you should get auto discovery on Home Assistant OS. It's through the Wyoming add-on though is how this works. So you can manually add this, but you should get auto discovery.
Also unsupervised. Yeah.
Unsupervised, right?
As well, yeah. Both.
So what I've done is I've set up two pipelines because I have this running on the i5 based system and on a Raspberry Pi 4 just to show the differences. So let's see, I got my i5 pipeline here. I just have this set to English since sadly it's the only language I speak. And I will talk. Oh, I didn't mention. So Piper is the other side of this. I might show the config in a sec, but it's the text to speech side. There's more on that we can talk about later. And I have one voice here. Sorry, kind of off.
Glossing over Piper.
Yeah, I'll jump back to it.
Oh yeah, we have something Piper.
Yeah, I'll jump back to it. So here I come. I'll select the i5 and see. I can say, turn on the bed light.
Turned on lights.
All right, so that's now.
So whoa.
Oops, I'm sorry.
So that voice you heard was generated fully local, right? That was like 100% local. That is Piper.
Yes. So this all happened locally, no internet connection. This went over to my i5, did the speech to text with the audio, then it did the text back, and then did the audio back from the Piper.
No Google?
No Google.
No Amazon?
No Amazon. No nothing.
No OpenAI.
It turns out apparently computers are fast.
Wow.
However, so this 10-year-old i5 was able to do that. I'll show it again just to turn off the bed light.
Turned off light.
So you see that comes back very snappy. Yeah. Not quite as fast as Cloud.
Yeah, just for the text to speech, that one is cached, right? Like just that people are like, whoa, Piper is really fast. Piper is fast, but not that fast.
Yes, on the i5 it is. It's fine. But that is true. This card got cached.
I mean that is the challenge, right? Like the speech to text we cannot cache. Like the audio is coming in, we need to process that right here, right now.
Yeah, if we knew what you were going to say, then well, what would be the point? So this is on a Raspberry Pi 4. I think there's opportunities for optimization, but here's what it is right now. Turn on the bed light.
I could have walked to that button, huh?
Turned on light.
So around a 6-7 second turnaround. However, still amazing that you're getting this kind of transcription quality on a tiny little what was a $35 computer.
Yeah. No, this is. I mean, this is just super cool because we're only at the beginning, right? Like Whisper was released. What was it? In November last year or October, something like this. And people have been making it faster and faster and faster to actually get it to run on a Raspberry Pi 4. I mean, our single board computers are getting faster. The models are getting smaller. Like, give it a few years, and this is all 100% local and instant.
Or if you have I guess it does run better on the Home Assistant Blue and those Odroids, a little bit better than the Pi. So this is Piper, and we're having a growing list of voices here.
What is Piper?
What is Piper? I'm sorry, Piper. Sorry, I breathe it day in day out. So Piper is text to speech. So it takes text and produces audio, and it does it with a number of voices in a number of languages.
Okay, who made it?
Me. So
Right. So
that's right.
no, so what we did is that there was no good text-to-speech engine that was using like all the neural network, like new technologies of generating voices that would actually also run on a Raspberry Pi. So Mike set out like, I'm just going to do it myself. So he created Piper, where the trade-off between quality and performance was made so that like, yeah, we got it running on a Raspberry Pi. I think the medium quality models are what is suggested to use on the Raspberry Pi, which would takes 1 second to generate 1.6 seconds of audio. So shorter answers are faster, longer answers are longer. There's always that's the thing to know. If you use ChatGPT, we cannot really catch the output because it's fully random, right? Like every time. So that is going to take a bit longer. If we just use it as an actual voice assistant, then it's going to be fast.
Right. So this is a samples page linked to in the blog post, at least. These are the languages we're currently supporting, and since our live stream, I've gotten tons and tons of volunteers from people wanting to add new languages or add new voices, new regions and stuff. So that's great. Yeah. Oh, here I am holding the drop down. You can't see it, of course.
You can't see the drop down.
I will play one example for people if they like.
Before you play the sample, when we've out of the box right now, I think there's 18 languages supported, and we want to work with the community to build more languages. And to get more languages, we need people to record their voice, and we need like a single speaker, and they need to be in a recording booth or have a good microphone and a silent space at home. And then we need like 2-3 hours of audio. So if you are interested in contributing and you've seen that your language is not there yet, please reach out to us. We are especially interested in less common languages. And with less common, I mean ones for which you don't tend to run into an open source speech model. So, we already have a couple of those where we have Kazakhstan and Nepali and Vietnam. Did we have Vietnamese? No.
Yeah, we got Vietnamese down here.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. If you are interested, hit us up at voice@casa.com. We have Polish as well. Yeah, Ukrainian, Norwegian.
Now, and we're also, I listen to these and I try to compare them to the original audio to make sure the voice is okay. But I can't hear. I'm not a native speaker of any of these languages except English, so I can't hear subtle differences. And it's good to have people correct pronunciations and whatnot. Also, as we're collecting voice data, the goal is we're producing public domain audio data sets, and this is going to help Piper, but it's also going to help future text-to-speech systems, right, that come around. And if there's public domain audio data for this, then they can get your voice. And I tell people, maybe someday you'll be the voice of the enterprise. You never know.
Right. Let's play a sample. I guess we just heard a sample, but
we did. It's been a little bit of a longer one. Do you want to hear the?
I won't buy it. Ryan Medium is my favorite.
Okay, so I'll just play it and let Ryan read this text. So all these are about rainbows.
A rainbow is a meteorological phenomenon that is caused by reflection, refraction, and dispersion of light in water droplets, resulting in a spectrum of light appearing in the sky. It takes the form of a multicolored circular arc. Rainbows caused by sunlight always appear in the section of sky directly opposite the sun.
So yeah, it sounds a little bit better than some of the robotic text-to-speech people usually associate.
It sounds amazing. Like this,
great.
You can generate this on the Raspberry Pi. Like you can just run Home Assistant today, operating system, install this, boom, you have great text-to-speech.
And all you need to do is when you install this, you can pick your voice here. Some voices contain multiple speakers. Very few of them do, but you could set a speaker number. And then you can adjust some settings to make it talk faster, slower, and modify some of the stuff with the cadence.
Yeah,
but that's Piper.
Boom. All right.
So text to speech and speech to text, fully local. I think that's like, besides like the Home Assistant Cloud sounds amazing. It works terribly fast. Like that's just amazing. This is also super cool because there's just a fully local option available now, which is amazing.
And this is not just for voice assistants, by the way. Like obviously we have the development has been driven because of voice assistants, but you can use text to speech for notifications in your house, right? Like, oh, the laundry is done, or time for dinner, and those kind of things. You can now also easily do it.
Yeah, you could come in here and say, yeah, I forget which Piper this is.
The laundry is done.
So there you go. She doesn't sound very enthused, but who is about laundry?
Yeah.
But it's fully local, and it's cached now. So if you run it again, it's not generated.
Yeah.
The laundry is done.
And that's not interesting.
All right. I mean, we need to like move on if we ever want to talk about other stuff.
Yes.
Right.
We're halfway through voice right now. So, Bram, do you want to talk about exposed entities?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. Boom, boom.
Real quick, I see someone mentioning they have a booth available in Rotterdam. Please, if I forgot to mention, email voice@nabucasa.com if you have booths available or you'd like to volunteer. That would be great, so I can keep track of everything.
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge we're having is that you need to have a good script, right? Like you need the sentences that people speak. And like that's for the more common languages, those are generally available, or like we can find some that like academics have created. But yeah, that's we could definitely also use some help from like just linguists and certain experts in certain languages.
Definitely.
All right. You have a screen, Bram?
Oh shit! Yeah, I should. I should share it.
That's why we were like
Sorry.
filling time.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry.
This is going really well. I'm so happy this is so scripted.
I was waiting for you to drop my screen in the stream, but
All right.
I have nothing to drop.
Can you go one button back just to show people how you got here?
sure. So in the configuration screen, we have a new item, voice assistants, which is also the place that Paul has just showed you how to create an assistant. That's the top part. So I can add a new assistant or change an assistant. There is also the part where now the settings for the Alexa and Google Assistant Cloud. So if you have Home Assistant Cloud and use Alexa and Google Assistant, then you can find the settings for those here now instead of in the Cloud config panel. And Alexa and Google Assistant already had their own exposed entities config screens.
What is an exposed entity, Bram?
So an exposed entity are the entities that we tell Alexa and Google Assistant about.
Right, the ones that they can control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might not want to let Google know about the light of your ESP Home device, your status light, because it will turn on or off that thing if you ask Google to turn off the lights. But
Right.
you do want it to control the lights in your living room.
Well, I mean, a different example is, for example, maybe you don't only want to allow Google to control lights and not your garage door or your locks, for example.
Yeah.
Right. This is about limiting exposure.
That's what I do. Yeah.
I don't have those, so I'm not aware. So we combined everything in one page, and Assist now has the ability to also exclude or include devices to assist. So we created one page that controls all of them. So this is a list of all the entities that I have exposed. And you see the name and the area. And then there's a column with the icons for the assistants. So this entity is exposed to Assist, to Amazon, and to Google. And Amazon is grayed out because I have configured Amazon in YAML, so I'm not able to change it through the UI.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Yeah. So if you want UI control, you should remove the filter from the Amazon cloud settings in your configuration.yaml, if you see this. And if you click it, you'll get a dialog. It will easily allow you to disable or unexpose an entity from a certain assistant or to all.
What's really cool here, the disabled Amazon toggle actually represents if that entity is enabled by your YAML configuration. So even though you cannot change it, you can still browse it and see if an entity is exposed or not.
Yeah, so in the list it also shows that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do multiple at once? Like if you wanna.
Yeah.
You could do them all.
So if
And
I
then
wanna like
you-
if I wanna like expose everything I have exposed to assistants to Google and Amazon, I can select it all. I click expose, and now it's all exposed to Google, not to Amazon because it's in YAML. Yeah. So also if I remove this, the Assist and Google Assistant will be gone, but Amazon cannot be removed.
I'll say
So this is the list of the entities that are exposed. If I want to expose new entities that are not in this list, I click expose entities, and I can search for my entity that I want to expose it, and now it's in the list.
Sweet. Yeah, so we've standardized this, and we've standardized this now first with like, standardize what we were doing existingly for Home Assistant Cloud for Amazon and for Google. Then we've added Assist now. There are still other voice assistants that have not been added to the UI, including things like the HomeKit Bridge, which by the way is called HomeKit Bridge this release and no longer HomeKit. But we haven't gotten the time yet to include that one. It's a bit more tricky because the existing configuration is so complicated with multiple config entries and yada yada. So we're not there yet, but we'll get there.
Maybe in the future. Who knows?
I see a lot of questions about if you can do this per assistant also, and you can actually if you go to voice assistants and you click on the 114 entities exposed from assist. It is filtering by assist now, so I only see the entities that are exposed to assist. And if I expose an entity, it will only be exposed to assist and not to Google.
Yeah,
that also works for the multi-select now, right? So if you select multiple, it will only affect assist, right?
Yeah, if I click assist, expose, it will only list assist here. So if I would do the same from Google Assistant, now it says it's only gonna expose to Google Assistant.
All right.
And if I remove it,
there's another column there which we haven't talked about yet. That's aliases.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the same aliases.
It's been around in the UI a bit longer already, but it has changed.
It's now here too.
Oh, I picked the wrong example. You can only add aliases for entities with unique IDs.
Right, and this is sadly Amazon does not support aliases, so only Assist, of course, is perfect, and Google support aliases.
Yeah,
I think this is still one of the most helpful features, being able to like add aliases.
Yeah, one great use case. So an alias, in case people are like, what is an alias? If you use your voice to control a device, you can also, instead of saying its name of the device, you can mention one of the aliases. So for example, you could say turn on the AC instead of turn on air conditioning to control it. Now, what is very nice is that if you are using voice assistants in multiple languages, you can actually add those other the names in other languages as aliases, so that it will continue to work in every language.
Yeah, or add funny names, like my vacuum cleaner has, for example, room service added to it. So you can ask for some room service as well in the living room.
Nice.
And call out Mama, that does the same. My mama used a vacuum and was a little late. Yeah. No, aliases are cool, and it's cool to see them here too. I think it's a really good fit to have them.
All right, let's
Right.
move on to the last part. So we've just talked a lot about voice, and we are just to wrap it up because the coolest part we haven't talked about, because right now all our demos have been inside Home Assistant. But if you have the Home Assistant UI open and then you're going to click on the assist icon and then you're going to click on the microphone icon, you might probably have already clicked on the right button, right? So
Yeah.
we've added two different new ways of controlling Home Assistant by voice. The first one is ESP Home. Now, of course, ESP Home, that is our sister project. That is a software to create and configure microcontrollers. So providing a simple YAML file, you can install a microcontroller to actually do stuff for you and make it integrate with Home Assistant. So, for example, you connect a temperature sensor to a microcontroller, one that can look as small and tiny as this. These go for $5-6 depending on where you buy them, and it can just run code, and you can build small devices. Now we've added ESP Home voice assistant support, and so that means that you can actually create a voice assistant with a small microcontroller. So the one we've been targeting on is this device. It's a Atom Echo development kit. It's an ESP32. It sells for $13.50 on AliExpress. It has a microphone, a speaker, and a button. The button will everybody's keeping them up. But the cool thing about this is that it doesn't do wake word detection, which would be cool, but we're not there yet. We're working on it. Probably not for this device. If we do wake word detection, by the way, it's going to be a bit more powerful ESP32 or extra chips involved. But this one is push to talk. So I'm going to show a demo. I'm going to try to turn off my frame here. Turn the frame off. As you can see, it works. It's fast. It's great.
Can you do it again? Like I made you large this
Frame
time.
on.
Sorry, I couldn't understand that.
Oh, you still have the audio.
Demos. Turn on the frame. There you go. And did you see how fast it was? Like the moment I was done talking, the light basically went on, right? And the cool thing about it is that while you're speaking, your audio is already being uploaded to the speech-to-text engine, right? So Home Assistant is very smart. It knows it has to do the speech-to-text. And so the moment you're done speaking, because you're actually, and it knows it right away because you're releasing the button. Normally it has to do like silence detection. But here you release the button and immediately we can ask the speech-to-text service, all the audio we just gave you, give us the result. And boom, it's there, right? Like with Home Assistant Cloud, I think we saw response times of 0.22 seconds. So that is blazing fast. And then, of course, the Home Assistant built-in one, the execution, the parsing is super fast. So, boom, it just works.
So when you press,
sorry, go ahead.
When you press the microphone on the browser, that one uses silence detection, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long is the silence detection there until it kind of starts processing?
It's between a third and a half a second. It's kind of depends because it's a little complicated about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes because I felt like ESP Home feels super snappy, and that's why, right? Yep. Because you release the button and then it
boom.
Yep.
Push to talk is the fastest way. It's instant response when you're done, right?
It also that tactile feedback I think does it too.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to have like a big button on my desk which I can hit, like just one of those red big thingies. I don't know. Just smash.
I want to wrap up ESP Home because we got to wrap up voice because we're 1 hour in, right? So this is ESP Home. You can actually have a bunch of other things. So you can see while you're talking, you can pick the pipeline. So, we've discussed before, like, hey, which voice assistant do you want to use? And the cool thing is this is a select entity. So you could make, we're showing you all this like small device because this is a very like off-the-shelf ESP Home compatible device, but you can build your own. So we're really hoping that people are going to build like, I don't know, a device with a microphone and like 3 huge buttons, and each button that you press, you're talking to a different assistant because you can change the pipeline and then start sending the audio to Home Assistant. Now, it's also a media player, but like the speaker is not that loud. But as you can see here, If I was gonna if I want to talk to Mario, I could actually talk to Mario right now here. The preferred one, you always have like a default voice assistant. This is the one that will be chosen. So that's ESP Home, but we have one more.
About ESP Home, one thing is kind of nice. The Muse looks like the speaker you can buy. That one, I think Jesse has got working too, almost. Yeah, this one. I think that's actually also a cool option as a hardware.
Yeah,
if that works, yes, definitely. It has a button
Yeah,
too, I believe.
Yeah, it has a button, and you can actually use it to trigger the system.
I think it
Really
also
nice.
has support extended, so you could make like a bigger button, right? So have like a huge button.
Right. The
Because you
big
don't
button I like.
open it, like get a device and like search for that button, right? Like it has to be fast, it has to be instant. So to get there, boom, 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 boom. I don't know, Mike, do you have a demo ready? Should I do the demo?
You go ahead. I got a second one.
Okay, so I have we wanted to have another piece of hardware, and so we were thinking, what would it take to build the most private voice assistant in the world? So a voice assistant that's only listening when you want it to listen. All its responses are for your ears only, not somebody else in the room is not going to hear it. It should be easy to use. It should be able to, like, people should be instantly familiar with it. And also it should match your style. Like, home automation are a device you're putting in your house. You should be able to find a device that matches the way your house looks and not how some designers in Silicon Valley has decided to be able to mass produce a device. And so to get there, we have been able to actually integrate old analog phones into Home Assistant. And so we're calling it the world's most private voice assistant. So I have a phone here. This is a Irico phone. It's if you put it down, it hangs up. You can dial a number. It has speaker, microphone, right? You can talk to it. I'm holding the button right now because I don't want to trigger it yet because it's a voice assistant. It's going to talk. And what is very cool is that you can actually have ongoing conversations with it. So it means that you're saying turn on something, then maybe you ask a query, then maybe you say something else. So just let me show you about it. Turn off the frame. Turn the frame on. So, it works. Like all the things we just saw, all the audio pipeline stuff, everything now is hooked up to a phone. So you walk into a room, you can pick up the phone and say music. You hang up, boom, your music scene starts. The lights dim, it starts playing audio, the smoke machine goes on, the laser.
Can you show them the grand stream? You want to show them that? Or?
How does this work? Ooh. Can I show the grand stream based on the length of my cables? No. Oh, why is this one? Oh, 1 second. Yeah, I think I can make it. Ta-da! So this is the box. It's called a voice over IP box. You connect it to. This is
it's so close.
We're so close. Yeah. Yes. So you can plug in a phone cable. You plug in an Ethernet cable. You plug in a micro USB power cable, and that's it. We have Gabriella has written up some great instructions on the website, so you can easily replicate this at home. The Grand Stream boxes go for around $38, $36. They kind of fluctuate. I feel like we've been pushing up the price because a lot of people have been buying them.
And you set it up, so you visit the web interface of the box and tell it to do something called off-hook auto dial. So when you pick up the phone, it automatically calls Home Assistant.
And what is really cool is that this is in Home Assistant, every device will have, every phone will also be a device. And just like with ESP Home, you can actually say, hey, which voice assistant should answer the phone? You can also say, do not allow calls. Then when you pick up the phone, it will be like, this is your smart home speaker. Smart home speaking, your voice is connected, your phone is connected, but you need to configure it in Home Assistant. And there's a Boolean, like a binary sensor, if a call is in progress. So while you're calling, it will actually turn on, and I'll show you. And so you will actually be able to automate on this, right? You will be able to, I don't know, do whatever you want to do. Like maybe when people are on the phone, you wanted to turn on a light or have like,
Stop the music.
Yeah, lower the volume on the music. So yeah,
We've all been buying like phones like crazy. I really enjoy that. Like in our chats, we were like sharing like all the cool phones we found on different antique stores and such. It has been like an insanely great month to see that, because even if you have a phone like, well, Paula's one I believe is from the 70s or 80s, the Eric phone. I got one from the 60s, or one that Bram had, right? Like things like that. Like, let me pick up my old one, like things like this. It will just work, and that's just cool. Look at that, Bram. That's beautiful.
That's so cool.
It's a lot of fun for the kids too. That's a great interface for the kids. Will just pick it up. They can just they could talk to Mario or whoever. Sorry, Stefan, I interrupted.
And it looks good too, because this is actually a thing that like kind of looks neat, nice on the desk. Like it I don't know. It's just, I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that, I mean, these are analog phones, right? You suddenly need to kind of learn like how to wire it up. At least like the phone I got, it didn't have like the cable you can plug into GrandStream directly. So you suddenly open up Wikipedia and learn about like analog phone technology to make it work.
I mean, the cool thing is that it has been like, the foundation of phone technology about like how it works with the microphone and the audio playing has been the same, right? Like it's just all these phones are in the end compatible. The GrandStream doesn't support like I have a rotary dial to put in numbers. The GrandStream does not support that. But it doesn't matter because it automatically calls when I pick up the horn and it connects to Home Assistant.
I was going to say too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying I like it. It's just works really well.
Some people are asking, so does this work with any voice over IP phone? We've only really tested with the GrandStream, but thanks to a community member in the beta already, the Mizu Droid app works. So I can actually turn on the bed light. I don't know if anybody could hear that.
Yeah, a little, but yes.
But the point is, so from the Android phone, you can use your phone to call Home Assistant like that.
So we are planning on actually, for Android, we are planning to have the Home Assistant Android app register itself as a voice assistant on your system, on your Android phone, so you can use the button to summon your voice assistant on your phone, and it will actually be able to talk to Home Assistant directly.
Yeah, that would be a little more direct.
Yeah. Somebody's asking if it works with a payphone. Well, I need to like.
Oh boy! Talking about good phones people bought. Oh,
we already did that.
Because why wouldn't you?
Let me just see if
all the videos we have in our voice channel, all the different phones and stuff. And
so this is an old payphone in New York. I'm based in Brooklyn. I was visiting the hackerspace and we see Resistor last Monday, and we were like, playing with the voice stuff, and then like we had this phone, and so it got updated with a new GrandStream HD801. We hooked it up into Home Assistant. We spent 15 minutes fiddling just because we didn't get the IP right. We typed it in wrong. Stupid. Anyway, after that, it just worked. And now you can like talk to Home Assistant.
So you have to pay each time.
Yeah.
You have to...
Only if you're a visitor.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to have such thing on. I would put it on a wall here.
It's
just
heavy.
beautiful.
Right, because it's like it has to be thug proof, right? Like people coming around hitting that phone, it should survive. So it's like it's heavy.
That'll outlast your house.
Probably. So that's voice. 1 hour, 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was it.
Whew.
Right.
And I would say people have asked. They asked in the live stream and such. But we are not doing wake word or hot word detection in this section of the voice. That's going to be later in the year. So right now it's push button or pick up the phone kind of thing. But we will be looking into that.
Yeah.
Next steps.
Yeah, and if you do something really cool with this, like you integrate super cool old phones, you're making a cool ESP Home project, please share it with us so that we can show it with the whole community, because I think there's a lot of people interested in this kind of thing. So please do. All right. Boom, boom. What else is in this release?
I don't know. Let me open up the notes. I really don't know where we are. I kind of like.
Yeah,
Oh, you have it already. Okay.
Is there anything else?
You need to zoom a little.
Enhance.
Enhance. Oh man.
Okay, so we talked about. This is actually a really cool demo. I'll just play it.
Yeah.
It's time for dinner.
Yes. The screen on the right, it's a Ulanzi TC001, probably
something like that.
Something.
Yeah, it's cool. It is a $40 screen you can get from AliExpress, and it's actually compatible with ESP Home. So there's a Blackadder wrote a pretty good tutorial on it. I think we showed it last month, right, in the stream. Yeah, it's really cool. So you can hook it up to your phone or whatever. Now we talked about all this stuff. So today we've kind of went very short. If you want the long version of all the voice stuff, check out this other video on YouTube. Exposed entities was done.
Yeah, you showed that part.
All right.
Oh, yeah. So, what else is new? Is the entity settings dialog, which has been slightly tweaked in this release. The first thing to notice is the voice assistant that is there, which you can actually click, which will bring you to the next screenshot that is shown, which will bring you to a similar dialog as you've seen in the expose dialog that Bram showed earlier. So for this entity, you can change directly the different voice assistant and the aliases without going all back to the settings screen and just make navigating. But before, we had in the screen a little, what it was, Bram, like a collapsible, expandable,
expandable,
advanced accordion, right? Accordion there, which was called advanced settings, which had multiple selections. Bram and Paul revamped it into what you see right now, which is the exact same functionality with just a couple of toggles, which I think is really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it much clearer. No collapsible thingies anymore. Just click and go. Yeah.
Right. This is such a interesting feature. When we built the Home Yellow, we have this beautiful transparent case, but every piece of technology, we need some feedback for when things are running, even when you don't have a screen, right? So we added some status LEDs for disk, for heartbeat, and for power. And well, guess what? People don't like lights, especially if you make a transparent case, because then the lights go through it. So yeah. Now, if you run a Home Assistant Yellow, go to your settings, system, hardware, and you'll be able to turn it off. It will require a reboot, by the way, because these are hardware level settings. This is not just a light entity.
But you can if you have it in your bedroom. It's a weird place, but I could, if you have a studio apartment or something, I could imagine you want to display it, but not have those lights in.
Yeah, they can be pretty intense.
Yeah.
All right. Webhook trigger options.
So this release introduces new options for the webhook. Basically, it adds support for the GET request, which is okay and nice. to have now. But more importantly, you now have controls over which requests are accepted by the webhook. So you can set like get post or just get and post or only post. And it will ignore all other HTTP methods for that webhook, which is a nice little touch.
This PR has been in the making over a year or something, right? Like
it has been there for a long time.
Yeah, thanks.
But more importantly,
thanks Rick for getting it added. Oh, scroll position gone. Yeah.
But there's a more important thingy there, which is in the bottom. Only accessible from the local network. And that checkbox is actually pretty cool because it like blocks access to the webhook from outside, which can be really helpful if you have something that only triggers on your local network. For example, like an old security camera that triggers a webhook when it detects motion or things like that.
Right. So just for webhooks are really just a web request. It's like how a browser fetches data from like a server, and there's a bunch of more. It used to be like an option that was fancy in the 2000s or something. Like devices were adding it everywhere. A configuration option like, hey, if something happens on this device, instead of providing an API, they provided a webhook where the device would make a request to another service, which could be Home Assistant, to provide more data. And that's what a webhook is. And so now most of them are post. We always used to support head, post, and put, but some are actually get. So
I guess this is where if this then that originally started out with, right?
Right. Yeah, just webhooks. Yeah, webhooks all the way.
Yep.
We even had the IFT webhook integration, right? So webhooks to Home Assistant.
Does it have WSDL and SOAP underneath? Or does anybody remember that?
SOAP, Jesus.
XML.
Nice, like parsing the XML and flops there. It's just trauma. All right. Bram, can you maybe highlight this one?
We have two new selectors. When we were building the voice UIs, we needed some selectors. So we've also made them available for Blueprint developers. So by default, it will show the languages of the front end, but you can provide your own list of languages. And then the front end will make sure that it is displayed in a nice way. And we do make a nice label for you from the language codes.
Yeah, and the goal here is really like blueprints and working with voice. That's like we want to make it very seamless integration. We're still at the very beginning, but we would love to see more people share more blueprints around voice and having like certain sentence packs be distributed. That's, by the way, not possible right now, but that's where we kind of want to go in the long run. And maybe if you have a bunch of sentence packs or if you're sending notifications from a blueprint, now that everybody will have a good text-to-speech, it will be good to also have good language selectors to make sure that the right messages are being sent.
Yeah, and we have also one for selecting a voice assistant, basically, or an assistant.
Yeah. All right. It's funny, we spent so much on voice, and now it's like 10 minutes. It's like...
But this release is almost all voice, right? Which is great, by the way. There's a lot to cover, and there's a lot being added and to play with, which is great. But this also means that, well, most of the stuff is about voice. So there's not much else in here. But still, there are some other things here, like the other noteworthy changes. The Home Assistant operating system you guys talked about before I joined, I believe. So that's covered. What else is in here, which is interesting? Well, the backups are faster. Thanks, Big Draco. He makes everything faster. That guy's just going on. What else? BT Home now supports button and dimmer events, including the new Shelly BLU button 1. You have one of those, right?
I have one right here. Let me just see. This is the new. Oh, the new
That's so
button.
tiny.
It's tiny. It has a button. No, so
Go on.
so yeah, it's a button. You can put it in your keychain, and then it has a small. Oh, I'm gonna put it here. There's a small beep when you press the button, so you know you pressed it, and it uses Bluetooth to send the data to Home Assistant. There are different colors. I have the red one here, and what is really cool about this is that it's using an open standard we created last year to distribute Bluetooth low energy events. And because it's using this open standard is integrated into Home Assistant already. This button will work out of the box with Home Assistant. So the moment you press it, it will pop up. It will fire events. You can configure triggers, and you don't need to do any extra work. So you can just add this on your keychain. It works with all our Bluetooth proxies that we've been building, including the passive ones that are using the Shelly Plus series. So if you already have a Bluetooth proxy set up, or you already have Bluetooth set up because you use a Raspberry Pi, for example, these buttons will work out of the box with Home Assistant, which is really cool.
Is it just the button, or does it also do like, I know, beacon or something?
So yeah, somebody asked me that, and I tried to look it up, but I was like, I opened my phone and I saw so many Bluetooth devices. I was like, yeah, I cannot figure this out right now.
Okay.
So I don't know. It doesn't say. I have a box somewhere.
Is it? It just has the one button, or there? I thought they said something about other controls. Or did I read that wrong?
Let me get my box with like stuff. This is the box, and then like, I think this one. Let me see if there's a manual included. I opened this one. I have two because I don't know.
Meanwhile, if you're still hanging on, the builds for Home Assistant operating system and the Home Assistant core release for Home Assistant operating system and supervised installations are available right now, so you can upgrade. If you've been waiting, the Docker versions are almost done, so should be there momentarily.
Good news. I have a early version that has no manual, so unable to you.
All right.
The other one is
That's
also
okay.
Cool. That is the Shelly BT Home. Was it blue? The blue button, BLU.
The blue red button.
The blue red button. Yeah.
The
how do
BLU
I
button one.
shrink?
Nice.
Almost.
Can we go back?
Let me
get back to the release notes here. Was there something else that's really important? Well, most things are okay and small, I guess. If we scroll down a bit, you also have the new integrations there.
Right. I think this one is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Because we have added repair issues in the past, things that are really critical. If your system is not working well, we should be able to tell you. Now the supervisor is integrated with that too. So if you have, and this is mainly for supervised. So people run supervised, and if you run Home Assistant supervised, you are yourself responsible for the operating system, right? Because with Home Assistant operating system, you obviously get the operating system. We maintain it for you. With supervised, you maintain it yourself. And as Home Assistant evolves, the requirements change over time. And if you do not keep your system up to date, things will get out of sync. Services might not work as expected, and Home Assistant might not function correctly. So now we will be able to tell you. So yeah, that's really cool.
It's just for a couple of warnings right now, but it will be expanded to all of them, I believe. Yeah. But still, it's good that the framework is there and we can expand this. Oh, and I see another one now. You scroll down, the Synology DSM. So if you have a Synology NAS and you use Synology photos, they will now show up in the media browser in Home Assistant. So you can, I don't know, maybe automate your photo frame or display thingy, like your Google Display, and send photos to it in some kind of way.
That reminds me, I saw somebody had like hacked without using Home Assistant, but there's apparently like a Python implementation of the Samsung Frame TV that you can upload your photos. So you could actually just say, hey, every night, let's sync up some photos to my frame of the photos I took today.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe a specific album that you want to like use as your curated like photo slideshow. So you can automate it because the Samsung app is horrible.
No, I've never seen it.
It's
I saw
I
the
was
frame TV.
I was flabbergasted. I have a 7th generation the frame TV, and I was like, how after 7 generations can it be this bad? Like, this is not a first or second generation. Like, and uploading your own photos seems to be like the primary use case of a frame.
Well, they
I
don't
mean,
use it because it's terrible.
watching TV. I mean, I guess watching TV is the primary use case. The second use case is having it look pictures.
My parents have one, and I actually never see it display anything, to be honest, except for television. I should check it out. I've never tried.
You have to install the SmartThings app.
Okay.
And,
No.
all right. I am stoked about the first one.
I'm too. Me too. It's the
Me too.
Android TV remote. So before explaining a bit about that, let me first say we already have an Android TV integration. However, as of this release, that integration has been renamed. It's now called the Android Debug Bridge, because that is what it was. The old Android TV integration we already had was actually just an Android Debug Bridge connection. So we renamed that integration to prevent confusion with whatever we're adding now, which is the Android TV remote integration, which is actually just beautiful.
Yeah.
It will detect your Android TV, and you can control it.
No, but I think that doesn't do it justice. What is
No.
so great about this is that the old one required a bunch of hacks, but this is actually an official supported protocol for Android TV remotes. So the moment you set up this integration, a PIN code will appear on your Android TV, and to finish pairing, and once you're paired, you can control it.
So no need to open debug ports and debug modes and things like that. It just pops up and works, which is absolutely great.
No, there's no screenshot.
Nope.
But yeah, you can turn on and off. You can open YouTube.
You can. I have my screen on. It has a screenshot live demo.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
This Lovelace
turn
UI
my TV
is in
on.
the documentation, by the way. So if you're interested in how does it work, it has been documented.
Yeah.
Netflix. It works. YouTube.
Playing. Oh.
No, once Netflix is a weird one. Netflix takes over control in many ways.
Oh yeah, it doesn't work in Netflix. That's right.
Yeah. So Netflix blocks some things, which is just Netflix, I guess. I noticed that too, at least on some.
Yeah.
For next release, by the way, I've already seen that they're also adding media player support, which is also exciting to see.
What I like about this is that Google has been replacing their Chromecast, right? It used to just be a standalone dongle with Chromecast software, and nowadays they don't sell that one anymore. Instead, you get the Google TV with Chromecast built in. So this remote will just work for everybody that has bought a Chromecast in the last 2 years, maybe something like this.
Yeah, we got one of those.
This is the Google TV thing that I use here.
But what would be the advantage using that media integration over the Chromecast? Does it have?
So the Google TV has more like a Chromecast. You always control from the app that started the Chromecast application. So if you open Spotify and you click play on cast, and you can only use the Spotify app. And in Home Assistant, you would need to use the Spotify integration then as well to control it. In this case, Android TV is a whole Android system, right? So you can browse through menus, but that's not very big use case, I think. But going to the home screen, starting apps, killing apps, keeping track how long an app has been running for whatever, and yeah. You can still use both, by the way, because this is Home Assistant, and we just implement every API under the sun. So
I can't wait to be able to pick up the phone and turn the TV off on the kids.
That should already work. That should already work.
It's bedtime.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. Voice over IP, we talked about. Wyoming, this is a new protocol that we built to easily integrate external speech-to-text, text-to-speech services. We've shown Piper and Whisper as an add-on, but you can also run it in a Docker containers. There's a link to Docker containers in the blog post, or we were planning on adding it. I'm actually not sure now if we've done it. But you can run Wyoming. You can integrate speech-to-text, text-to-speech services from anywhere into Home Assistant, so your voice assistant can be as flexible as you want. We really hope that it's gonna kind of bootstrap this open voice assistant ecosystem where a lot of people will build out text-to-speech, speech-to-text, and conversation agents, all using small Wyoming wrappers. So it will be very easy to plug into one another. So Home Assistant has adopted it, Raspberry has adopted it, and so we hope to see more.
Next on the list is Roborock, which is interesting because we already had Roborock support through the Xiaomi integration, Xiaomi Mio integration. However, there's also the Roborock app. So if you have a newer generation Roborock, which is the the 5S or the S5 or newer, S5 Max or newer, I believe, then there's these specific app for Roborock, which is actually a pretty decent, great app to use. Yeah. However, if you wanted to use the Xiaomi Mio integration in Home Assistant, you could not use the app. So it was kind of a choice between things. With the new Roborock integration, you can use both simultaneously. So you can keep your app working while you connect Home Assistant too. So it's a more modern way of connecting to your Roborock versus the Xiaomi integration. Yeah.
And lastly, Anova. That's the sous vide devices. That was it was all kind of like a hype a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I think. But it works now also with Home Assistant. So you can control when you want to make your dinner or start making your dinner.
Right.
All right. Some new stuff available through the UI. Workday, Snapcast, Platzkarten.
Nice try.
I think it's a German service.
It's not German, right?
I mean, it's that long of a word, maybe.
It's Swedish.
Oh, Swedish. Okay.
And it's only if you live west of Stockholm. This is integrations for you. I mean, this is what I really like about Home Assistant, right? If you are a big company and you have to actually allocate engineering resources, would you allocate any engineering resources to Broadsplatskatan? Probably not. But with Home Assistant, we do this the other way around. We work with the community and make sure that anyone can contribute integrations for anything. So yes, if you live in this area in Sweden, Home Assistant will now have something that you could not find in any other home automation system.
Definitely true.
Because I think also, for example, Frank's region where he lives, the garbage pickup has an integration, for example.
Yeah. Yep. By the way, in this list, I really like the Workday. That is such a useful sensor that is now available from the UI. So the Workday allows you to say create a binary sensor that is saying is today a workday or not, and can take into account holidays as well. So you can add your country to it, and it will take your national holidays into account. So that's a very useful binary sensor, and I think it's especially for automations. I would like to keep some of the things longer closed, like curtains on days that are not working days. So I think it's very useful to have it into the UI. So that thing is great. Yeah. All right. Then there's breaking changes left, which is a fairly small list, nothing big. I think the Z-Wave is in here again. That makes sure that you update the Z-Wave add-ons or Z-Wave ES containers before upgrading. If you forgot about it, then the system will tell you after upgrade. Still do
this but this is only necessary if you by default. If the Home Assistant integration will install Z-Wave for you and also keep it up to date, right? So if you ended up installing the add-on yourself manually back in the days, it will now you have to keep it up to date for yourself. If you are ever if Home Assistant installed it, then this is not an issue at all. You can just 100% ignore it.
So if you use Docker or something, then you have to update your Docker container. But Home Assistant will tell you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some things removed. The coronavirus integration, which I have found memories of in terms of integration. Yeah. We built that one together on a Monday evening, I believe.
In March, right? March 2020 or something.
Yeah, it was like we were all voice chatting and like maybe we could do something, and we built that thing together with all the core member team, like really quick, and it was really cool. But the provider is no longer there. The data is no longer being made public by, what was it called again? Hopkins.
Hopkins, yeah.
John Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, that's gone. So the time for the integration to go to, and Xbox Live has been removed, but the Xbox integration is still there.
Right. So the Xbox Live is for the really, 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 really old Xbox.
Yeah. The original, indeed.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's the release. Boom.
Yeah. Boom.
You know, I'm impressed. We actually have not filled the full 2 hours.
Because you rushed us in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it? We should like talk about again.
Yeah, let's go back to the normal screen.
We could have milked the voice thing some more, huh?
Well, it is. I have been looking at it like the whole month, like this, what's happening, and I've been mind blown through all the month, multiple times a week. It was just so cool to see what happened here, and the release is mainly voice because of that. But I don't think it's like, I don't know. It's just great. It's cool to see this program.
Yeah.
I think the custom sentence support is kind of cool. That you can just like, define some super weird sentence and it does like something super weird, of course.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be funny videos about that.
Yeah, definitely. If people are looking into like, they want to see somebody experiment and play with voice, Dr. Z's is going to stream on Sunday and it's going to be about voice. So definitely check out Dr. Z's, friend of the feed. How do you call that?
And also related is a video that's already up by Bearded Thinker, also live of the Creators Network. He made a video about the response times and actually timed it in the image between different languages, different methods, and with all the voice stuff, which I thought was really cool to see because it's just blazing fast. So it's cool to see what he did there, to see the different options and how it like responds.
I haven't seen that one yet. I gotta check it out.
It was just released before the stream, like 2 hours ago or something.
Okay. Someone asked him in the comments, you can use Whisper and Piper in a Docker environment. I think actually Paul's already said that, right? You can.
Yeah.
You should find the links.
We added the links in the comments, but I think we should add. I thought we added the links in the blog post, or it was a to-do item. Or
I did add them in the blog post. So if you read the blog post in the Whisper and Piper sections each, they have links out to the.
See, there's the thing. We have to read. I just wanted to like pop up in my Docker, in my watchtower or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, really good.
Oh, here, this is a good suggestion from Jason FLT. Please, if you like this video, hit subscribe, notify yourself of the next stream, and also subscribe to Home Assistant Cloud by Nabu Casa, because that is what makes all this work possible. All the people you see on the screen today, they are getting paid by Nabu Casa. There's more that are getting paid by Nabu Casa, and all that work wouldn't be possible without the support from the community to build all of this.
We could use some thumbs up. It looks good. 170 or something.
You don't have to smash
much
the button.
More.
Yeah.
Just click it.
You could just click it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's
right. Is there anything new in gadgets in terms of stuff? Like that you showed the BLU button. We have great phones.
Yeah,
I don't even know where it is. Yeah, I had a really busy week last week. I went to the Thread member meeting.
All right.
thread, Home Assistant, Nabukasa. I was a invited guest to be a keynote speaker and to like open the meeting and like tell everybody about our thread work. That was really great. A lot of positive responses, a lot of users, by the way, a lot of Home Assistant users there. Like these are the home automation power users, right? So of course, a bunch of them using Home Assistant. There were like some companies that were doing demos in the hallway for during the breaks. One of them was actually showing off their border router using Home Assistant. So that was cool. There was like, just an iPad with Home Assistant and everybody was just playing with Home Assistant. So that's really cool. I got a bunch of stickers. If you ever like meet me in Brooklyn, you can get a thread sticker if you want. Yeah, what else? The Open Hardware Summit was also last week. I also went there. It was a really busy week. The Open Hardware Summit is where people talk about like the open hardware they're creating or the tools they're making to make open hardware. And of course, Home Assistant Yellow is fully open source, and our crowdfunding platform CrowdSupply is a big sponsor of the Open Hardware Foundation and also the summit. And so they were there, and so we hang out. They had a beautiful Home Assistant Yellow in the booth as well. That was cool. Yeah.
Any other open hardware things that were there that were really cool?
There's this whole open source sex machine. Like,
okay.
Wait, what?
And they had,
hang on, Frank. Hang on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, with like motion, whatever, and this is like controlled. They had like a whole controller that you can all 3D print yourself. And they had a whole booth. Like, I'm not sure why, but yeah, they had a whole booth. There was also somebody who had made their own fridge. He was working on like creating an open source fridge community.
So two very different things.
Yeah. So yeah, there were a lot of like things all over the place. Now there were also just people that had like, things to help build hardware yourself, right? Like a more mass production, without manual mass production, I would say, right? So a feeder of like chips and this kind of stuff. Yeah. Somebody asking if the sex machine at Home Assistant support. I think there was at some point on their forums. Like this project has been existing for longer. Somebody had integrated it.
Please tell me their tagline was "Open hardware just got harder."
No. No. So they have a their abbreviation is OSSM, and then but their tagline was like "It's awesome," right? Because then OSSM. So
all right. I mean that's okay.
Yeah.
They can have that one for free.
Yeah. All right. Just a question here. Is it possible to use Piper on Sonos? Definitely. Sonos plays audio, Piper generates audio. It's like they were made for each other.
Oh.
Yeah. I think earlier somebody asking about if you use the Docker containers for Piper or for Whisper, then you need the Wyoming integration on the other side on Home Assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically plug in the IP address of the container. Right?
And the port that they have. You'll see the instructions. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the one thing, by the way, I've seen with the models, the local models, that people all think that hardware is like super fast, but it's not. If you're on a Raspberry Pi, don't even try the other model. We have picked the default model that works best on a Raspberry Pi. Go bigger and like it either run out of memory, the performance is super slow, all that stuff.
If you have
it runs on the CPU.
Oh yeah, around on the CPU purely.
Yeah.
If you have way beefier hardware, then try out like the medium models and stuff will get you really good performance, really good transcription accuracy. I should say it's much slower.
And what?
That's right. I don't have ARM v7 builds of either.
Right. But ARM v7 doesn't do 64-bit, right?
Right. It's as far as I remember. Or wait, Frank probably knows more than I do.
32-bit, but you can, like most hardware that does v7, I believe, can do 46. Pretty much.
Raspberry Pi 3, 4.
Pi 3 can do, the 64-bit.
They can, so you could just like back up and then
restore the back.
Restore the back.
But I mean, CPU-wise, the Raspberry Pi 3 is probably really pushing it.
I would not.
For these kind of purposes, I would not. No, definitely not. No, you can try. It will probably work somewhat, but yeah, it will work.
It's going to have a low home approval factor.
Yeah, definitely.
True. Somebody's asking about the Google Coral. The Google Coral is optimized for visual stuff. So we're doing voice stuff. So that's different computations. Mike could say the technical words. I can't, but that's...
It's unfortunate. It'd be nice to use... TPUs can run Whisper, but not these TPUs, like the version 4s or something. There was some recent project that was showing this huge improvement, but I don't think you can even buy those from Google yet.
Whisper Jacks.
Yep.
Yeah, it is available for cloud computation at this point.
Go figure.
Yeah.
If we could like cram a NVIDIA 3060 into something, I mean, maybe Jeff Geerling will get it going, and
yeah.
Well, he probably has already, but I'm not sure that oh man, those prices are just. Wow.
He has a board that he hooked to a 4090, so just doesn't.
These are video cards for the people that have no idea. Video cards. The computation that video cards do to render graphics on your screen are actually the same kind of computations that are used for AI. And so that's why everybody uses very expensive video cards to train the models. Mike has a couple of them, so he's always like in his background, he's like training like whatever open data sets come available, like or got contributed, training new models. So all these Piper models are trained in Mike's basement.
It gets very hot down here.
Well, weren't you like running out of like the max watts that your house could deliver or something?
So yeah, I was running into the max wattage that an individual U.S. household outlet will output. So I have to carefully split up things between circuits and stuff, so I don't. Because otherwise we have to install like one of those like the dryer, or I would say the washer plugins, the big 240 volt
switcher.
Still trying to convince my wife of that.
Yeah,
training models is gaming, something like that we use.
My friend who loves to game was very disappointed that I was using them for AI instead of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I got something else, which is I'm going to play with this hardware this month. Have you seen this in these things?
Is there a genie in there?
Yeah, there's a genie in there. Well, it's a genie. It's called Genie.
Oh, actually. Is it? Oh,
Rituals. Yeah. So I guess they made it. Yeah, it's from Rituals indeed. So this is a aroma diffuser, which has Wi-Fi, but it is cloud controlled. So it's not, from that perspective, maybe not my favorite. But yeah, I'm curious to figure out this might be like make my home smell nice or something. Like get some aroma out when you get home or something. Maybe cool.
If you got it local, ping me.
If you got it local, ping me. Yeah.
No, but this is this integration, right? Like somebody contributed. It's been around for a year or something, right?
Yeah, it has been around. So there's support for it in Home Assistant, and we had an issue this month. So I talked to the guys, and I got one to because it got my interest, and I'm kind of looking. Maybe I could like lift a bit of the integration, maybe. But I find the concept interesting to have a diffuser like controlled by Home Assistant.
So is there like different tastes or smells?
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of cartridges which are terribly expensive, by the way. So I'm not, but we'll see. I'm not sure how long they will last.
Which cartridge did you get?
I don't know, Sweet Jasmine or something.
You have to switch out the cartridge for the different smells, or can it do it all in one? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you put one in and it has 270 hours or something.
I thought maybe if you could have a particular smell, you could train the kids or the pets or something to at particular events.
with air pollution detection in a specific room. Well, yeah. Oh well. No, that's what I got this one. I'm kind of curious because it's a different device than I'm used to, like something else than a motion sensor, or all the phones I've seen this month.
I should get some of my more phones.
More phones?
Oh yeah, he's got some other
Yeah,
cool ones.
I already
bought-
showed them on the.
How many phones did you buy this month, Paul?
I've been like going on eBay and like looking at phones and stuff, and I bought 4 phones. So this one is really cool. It's I thought it was a bit more yellow, but I think this is probably better to be allowed in the living room. But it's a cool one. It's basic phone. It looks cool, and then I got actually. Let me just. But this phone just arrived from Ukraine yesterday. It's
Ukraine.
From an old USSR bunker. It's like, yeah. Look, the picture had some paint on it. I should have seen it. There's like some paint, but it has no dial, so it's just like, yeah, it's super sturdy.
If you paint it red and make like a light in it, it's a bad
Yeah, is there also a red light that blinks if it?
No, I don't think so. No, there's no lights. But I could add one, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was. I don't know. It looks cool. I thought, so I really mislooked. I thought it was Home Assistant blue, but it's black. It's okay.
Well,
the users are also their connectors are just terminals. So I need to.
that's easy to connect, right?
Yeah, I think it's easy to connect. I just need to spend it. But yeah, I have 4 phones right now. I have one more, but it's already installed in the living room right now. But I realized that for kids, it's easier. My Airco phone is actually the best because my kids can just put it down back on the table and it will hang up, right? Well, the other phones, you need to it takes a little bit of coordination to put it back on. Right. So it's easier for kids who have no time to coordinate, right? Mm-hmm. They need to like slam it back and like move on with the next thing. Yeah. Okay, I want to highlight this question from Greg. Can we call the phone? We want to get there. We haven't built it yet. There's a bug. If you start playing with it and you like hang up 5 times,
Bram is demonstrating.
Doesn't work.
Sometimes it's a bug.
Yeah.
It doesn't always trigger.
There's some race condition, and somehow the Grand Stream receives audio while it's not on a call. It starts ringing, and then your phone.
Oh wait, I think I know how to trigger it.
That's fake.
No.
It really is.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There it goes.
Okay.
It's scary.
We got a
scared my
caller.
kids.
Hello?
So my kind of dream is like, you'd be like, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Oh, now it keeps doing it.
Yeah, they better unplug it.
Yeah.
And then it call you back, right? When the
in 10 minutes when the phone rings, be like, laundry is done.
How do you?
Yeah. So
Did it stop?
phones, so many phones.
Zet het licht op zolder uit.
You just now you've made it mad. It doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah. No, sometimes the Grand Stream also crashes.
I noticed.
Yeah. That's another dream I have. Is that
Zet het licht op zolder uit.
No, you already pissed it off.
Oh, Brom crashed. Oh, we didn't see how it ended up.
That phone is mad.
I'll use this one.
Oh yeah.
Zet het licht op zolder uit.
Yeah.
Actually,
Zet het licht op zolder aan.
I recorded the audio out of this and listened to it. Like this microphone, I can't believe this actually works. It's such a tiny signal inside there. It's incredible that it actually functions as well as it does.
Well, that's worked pretty darn well.
I'm impressed. Yeah. So I mean, it tells you for ESP Home, like this is probably one of the cheapest I2S mics inside there, and so you could you could build something with like spend the extra 30 cents and you could have a better mic that you could put together.
Right.
Maybe that mic has a good pre-processing.
That might do.
So for if you're watching this and you haven't played with ESP Home yet, done things with it, I could highly recommend this device in general. Not just for playing with this voice project, but for playing with ESP Home in general. Like there's Bluetooth in here, there's a button and an LED you can control, and the ports are on the backside you can use. So if you want to play with ESP Home, this is actually just a cheap little device. I believe it's 13 bucks or something, which you can just plug in and you can play with ESP Home in so many ways. That's just nice. And Brom has a different one which doesn't have a mic, I believe, which is the Atom Lite. Like these devices are just super cool to learn and play with ESP Home or the voice project in general. It's just cool to have one on your desk for those couple of months.
So small, I lost it already.
That's great. Great feature.
The last thing to be said about that, this device, we have a super good tutorial. Gabrielle did a great job. And on the website, and it has the button to install it. It's right there from your browser. You don't need to install anything extra, no tools, whatever. You follow the tutorial, click connect it. It installs the software on the device, connects it to your Wi-Fi, connects it to Home Assistant, and you can start talking right there. Boom.
Gabriella actually wrote multiple tutorials. They're all linked in the first paragraph of the release notes as well. So you can just get started with your own voice assistant.
Yeah, because the Grand Stream also has an extensive tutorial. So there's this thing. Thanks, Pico, to bring it to our attention. It might be that we've been hyping up these devices a little bit, and
sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Check DigiKey, AliExpress. I think might have some, and I can't remember mouse.
Takes a bit longer.
Yeah, some of the local electronic stores, like I think Tinytronics in the Netherlands, had them. So I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
But maybe someone in the community will build another project so other folks can.
Yeah.
Follow
I mean, anything with a microphone will work, right? With the ESP32. So
basically, yes. Yeah.
All right. That is a wrap.
That's
good.
It. And that.
Time to sleep. No, thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy the release. This has been one of the biggest focus releases in forever. Really play with the voice stuff. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you're missing any languages in text to speech, please reach out to voice@nabukasa.com if you want to help with recording audio, gather audio, or you can help other people record if you have the right hardware. If you like what we do, if you like what Home Assistant does, where we're going, ESP Home, the voice stuff, or any of the work we do on the Open Home, please subscribe to Home Assistant Cloud by Nabukasa. It funds the development. Plus, now you also get super good access to super good voices for speech to text and text to speech, giving you the highest quality voice assistant possible with Home Assistant right now. And you get end-to-end encrypted remote connections. So thanks, everybody. Release is out there. Hit update, and bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Off the